What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name's Anthony. I'm with the American Home Team here at eXp Realty. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a video just like this one, talking all things Rochester and Finger Lakes living. That being said, as much as I love making all these videos for you on all things Rochester and Finger Lakes living, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number and that email, it's popping up on the bottom of your screen. I'm the guy that answers those texts, emails, and phone calls. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We love responding to inquiries from people like yourself from all over the United States and really all over the world. We have some people from Australia, from Africa, New Zealand, all sorts of parts of the country, or the world rather, that are moving here to the Rochester area, whether that be for work or for pleasure. People moving here, it's awesome fielding your questions. So that being said, today I'm talking about why Rochester really is a hidden gem to move to in 2025. I know in the comment sections you're gonna get a lot of the people who live here who are like, oh, this place is a shithole, or it's, you know, XYZ, it's really bad and blah, blah, blah. Well, in this video, I'm gonna tell you actually why it's not that bad. And trust me, I have my beliefs of the things that we need to improve upon as well, right? There's a whole slew of things. I won't be able to mention all of them in one single video, but everybody has those issues with their own town, city, state, etc., right? You know, it's not all bad here in Rochester. Things we're gonna talk about is the affordability, what kind of things there are to do, the weather, you know, the culture scene, right? And then like what kind of community we're living in. And I think all of these things are extremely important, especially when you're looking to relocate to a new area. And so without further ado, guys, let's dive into it. The first one that we're talking about is the affordability while you have big city perks. Guys, the national average on cost of living is quite a bit higher than the Rochester area. Now, I will say, to be fair, we are creeping up on that national average pretty rapidly. This area with an influx of people, with, you know, a major home shortage, right? I mean, prices are increasing quite a bit. However, that being said, despite even increasing prices, we are still significantly below the national average as far as cost of living goes. Everything from groceries to gas to healthcare, right? We're looking to be a little bit better than the national average. Now, on the real estate side, my bread and butter, we're significantly lower than the national average. When you're talking about a lot of the places out west, right? I refer to Colorado a lot, or California, of course, but even places in Florida and stuff. You're buying houses here in New York, in the Rochester area, for somewhere around $300,000 for a extremely viable house, right? A 4-bed, 2-bath, or a 3-bed, 2-bath kind of deal that is in good, livable condition, reasonably updated for the most part, right? Where that same house is going to be $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in many other states. That is just a huge difference. And, you know, when I look at affordability, that is one of the big impacts. Now, what we do have that kind of makes the difference up is taxes, right? So taxes are fairly expensive in New York State. I think it's the second or maybe the most expensive taxes in the United States, right there with California, and I believe Illinois is pretty close. But that being said, you know, it doesn't make up that whole difference. The cost of living is still cheaper than that of many other states, majority of other states, I would say, the national average, so at least half of the other states in the United States. And, you know, it is, taxes are going to be taxes. Until we get some major tax reform, that's going to be it, you know. I get taxed on my money just like you do, and nobody likes it. In this country, it's one thing that we got to do, and property taxes, local taxes are just part of that. But, you know, that being said, we are extremely affordable compared to a majority of other states. And to me, that's a huge factor if I'm bringing a family, especially if the more kids you have, right? And then not only that, but I also recognize that if your kids have any sort of special needs or disabilities or anything like that, that could increase prices in your home as well. And then obviously the more kids you have. And so these things all cost money. So it's important to live in a place that you can afford to live. And the Rochester area is one of those places. And then just to cap off that thought, we still do have many of those big city perks. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we have things like sporting events, right? You can either go to the Blue Cross Arena and see some lacrosse games, hockey games. You can see the Harlem Globetrotters. You can see all sorts of concerts and stuff. You do also have a short drive to Finger Lakes Community College, which has CMAC, which is a performing arts center, and a bunch of major music artists and a bunch of different shows and stuff will go over there and perform. And then you do have a short drive to Syracuse if you care about Syracuse sports, or we have a short drive to Buffalo, which then you can enjoy the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Sabres, and anything that they have to offer, right? So both those cities are just about an hour drive from Rochester. So you do still have the big city perks with the affordable living, which I think is extremely important, especially if you're bringing a family here. Moving right along, the next reason why you should move here in 2025 is that there is a growing job market with promising sectors, right? So the Rochester job market is diversifying with growth in tech, healthcare, education. Major employers include the University of Rochester, Wegmans, and a range of healthcare options and technology firms. Those are some of the biggest industries in the Rochester area. Now, for those of you with a tech or a healthcare background, or those of you entering the workforce, Rochester offers strong opportunities without the intense competition of many larger cities. So that being said, things like anything from government contractors to Amazon to, University of Rochester or Strong Memorial Hospital and any of its affiliates, those are all great employers. Things like Kodak or Xerox or and then anything independent firms and all sorts of stuff like that, right? Rochester is great. And then, what I love personally that we're seeing a lot more of is the entrepreneurial spirit of the area. Rochester, it is a small city, so you're not seeing entrepreneurship on the large scale as you would in Miami or, Austin, Texas, or Dallas or San Diego or LA or whatever, right? But you are seeing it on a smaller scale with plenty of entrepreneurs, right? You got Tom Golisano, who is the owner of Paychex. He kind of founded the way. You have many of these other local business entrepreneurs who are earning millions upon millions of dollars, right? Their companies are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You have the whole Wegmans family. That was a local entrepreneurial startup. So this area is home to a lot of entrepreneurship and it's growing rapidly, especially in this new economy where everything is so researchable and figure outable. And, a lot of the younger generation is coming up and, they're kind of bucking the college system, if you will, and they're going on and founding their own companies and doing well with that, whether that's, something in real estate or a cleaning business or, a car detailing business or anything like that, social media companies and whatever. These things are growing in prevalence in the Rochester area, and I love it. I'm all for it. I'm 100% in support of that. In my opinion, if you don't have to work for the man, then why would you? But there is a time and a place for that as well, and those options are definitely available here. Anything from mom and pop stores that you can be an employee at, whether you're just getting in the job market or you're an executive, there's always going to be a spot for you in Rochester. Next up, number 3, we're going to be talking about a exceptional education at just about every level of education, right? Or of every level of a kid's childhood. So that being said, Rochester is home to some of the best private schools and public schools in the United States. I won't go as far as saying that they're the top in the United States, but they're certainly within, I'd say, the top 200 schools. New York State public education system, while I'm not a huge fan of public school for many different reasons, New York State is on the high end. I have so many people moving from so many different states, down south, out west, whatever, and they're moving here for educational opportunities because if you were to grade all the states by school system, A through F, right? F obviously being the worst, A being the best. Our B's are other states' A, and even our C's are other states' A's. So that means our scale is skewed, right, toward the position of being better. New York State education system is just, it's outstanding. You know, if there were an education system that I would want my kids to be a part of, it'd probably be New York State, just because of, you know, I do trust a lot of the teachers here in New York, and I'm not a big fan, but I do trust them a lot more as far as the system goes. But that being said, New York is growing in popularity with homeschooling and private schooling, right? As people get a little bit more money, they're going to private school, or I know a lot of folks who are homeschooling and we're doing it ourselves. So those options are out there in New York State and in the Rochester region. So if education isn't a huge thing for you, being public schools, you do have the private sector, and then you do have homeschooling options as well, with many pods or co-ops that you can join and be a great part of. These kind of things are extremely important to families moving here. And I got my dog Callie here trying to be part of the video. Of course, she's not super camera friendly, but here she is. So we do have those private school and homeschool options, like I said. Now, on the higher education level, we have everything from a little bit in the southern tier, like call it, hey, you got to go lay down, like Ithaca, or you got Cornell, right? You do have St. John Fisher, you have Keuka, you have Finger Lakes Community College, Monroe Community College, University of Rochester, Nazareth, and you got Hobart's and William Smith in Geneva. So the Rochester area is home to, and then you also have RIT, which is a prestigious school as well. So you have everything from preschool all the way on up to university and post-bachelor's, and you have all these options for you that are great options. Whether you're moving here and you're sending your kids to preschool or you're sending your kids to university, the Rochester area is home to many great institutions that you can be proud of your kid going to, or you going to if you are coming here to do the same thing. So that being said, you know, we are proud of our education here in the Rochester area. And you can go on niche.com and search each individual school, but keep in mind that our scale is skewed to the left. So just because something says it's a B or a C, right, that's typically going to be an A in many other states. So that's not a bad school. That's just that our schools are so good that, you know, if you're an A, you're exceptional. If you're a C, you're still really, really, really good comparatively to many other states. But there are, you know, some schools that may be slightly better, or they just might be larger, right, in this area. So keep that in mind. Education is huge in the Rochester area. Now, going into this next topic, I will admit, candidly, I am not super educated on this topic. This topic is that Rochester does have a rich arts and cultural scene. So for starters, unlike many mid-sized cities, Rochester has a well-developed cultural landscape. And guys, again, I'm not super educated on this, so this is coming from multiple websites throughout the Rochester area that are supporting all of this. But from the historic George Eastman Museum to the Rochester International Jazz Festival, this city appeals to a lot of art and music lovers. And I will say, I've gotten a lot of clients moving from other states who in emailing me and calling me, talking about how they want to move here because it's so artsy and it's so musically inclined. And, you know, this area is pretty, I'd say, prestigious for those two things. You do have the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, you have the Jiva Theater, and then you have many, many arts festivals. And, you know, Rochester is festival city, and many of those festivals are art and music festivals. Not only that, but it's almost impossible to find a place to go to sit down and eat without music being played. I know that's a common thing throughout many other places, but it seems like it's every single venue in Rochester where there is a local artist who's playing, or a local artist who's, you know, painting and selling for charity, or, you know, whatever the case is. There's also so many festivals, like I mentioned, where people are selling off their art and drawings and things like that for charity. So again, excuse my lack of knowledge on this topic. What I will say is that the Rochester area is actually quite well known for their arts and music. I just didn't grow up in that kind of scene, and honestly, I haven't paid too much attention to it. So again, forgive my ignorance on this topic, but rest assured, the Rochester area is big on the arts and cultural scenes, and I know it's important to a lot of people. So if that's you, this area is huge, and you can certainly find home in those areas of interest for sure. Next on the list is one of my favorites, I think, about the region is your access to nature and recreation. So the Finger Lakes and the Rochester region is such an ideal place for outdoor enthusiasts. You have the Bristol Hills, and then you can travel over to Letchworth State Park. You can go to Sodus Point, and you can go to Chimney Bluffs, right? You have Lake Ontario, and then you have the Finger Lakes a little bit further down south, as well as you have Niagara Falls to the west in Buffalo. You have so many different options, along with the Genesee River, I should mention, for hiking trails, biking, fishing, hunting, boating, kayaking, canoeing, skiing, water skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, and anything in between. You have it in the Rochester and Finger Lakes region. Now, Rochester is probably about 30 to 45 minutes from Bristol Mountain, which would be the nearest ski hill. But if your kids go to public school, there's going to be a ski club, and the ski club, I think for like $50 a year or something like that, or $50 for the ski club, they will take your kids to the mountain at least once a week. I don't remember if it was once or a few times a week. I did it when I was in school, going from Canandaigua, and Canandaigua is 10 minutes from Bristol Mountain. Every school around the Rochester region has a ski club that will send you to Bristol Mountain on their ski club, and it's very cheap. So if getting rides for your kids to Bristol Mountain is a challenge in the wintertime, the bus will take them there from school, which is pretty cool, and they'll be there for the evening twilight zone, and then they'll get bused back, and you just pick them up at school at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or whatever it ends up being. And so there is just a whole slew of recreation and nature-esque activities that you can do in the Finger Lakes region, or the Rochester region rather, and without running out of things to do. It's just amazing. People who love nature come here, and then if you do get tired of the things that are locally here in Rochester or the Finger Lakes, you can go right up to North Country to the Adirondack Mountains, and you certainly won't run out of things to do there. You can become a 46er and hike all 46 high peaks of the Adirondack mountain range, and those are challenging. We did Mount Marcy, Mount Gray, we did Cascade. Mount Marcy and Gray took us a full 16 to 18 hours to do that, and our feet and our legs and energy were just terrible, right? They can get brutal up there, and so if you know what I'm talking about with the Adirondack 46, they're pretty intense, and I'm pretty good at hiking, and those things are pretty intense. So you can't run out of things to do here. If you're a nature lover, if you love getting outside and playing in the park or doing whatever, taking your kids to playgrounds and stuff, there's so many of them around here, and there's so much to do outside, whether it's in the summer or the winter. Fall is a beautiful time of year, and the spring is a beautiful time of year. So you're certainly not going to run out, and you're just going to love doing everything around here. And last but not least, Rochester is a welcoming, family-friendly environment. Now, despite what you're seeing on the news maybe, or in headlines or whatever, that Rochester is a crime-ridden city, that is only in certain parts of the city. And Kelly here just wants to say that Rochester loves doggos. Rochester is super family friendly, and has all sorts of events that you can go to. Rochester is super family friendly in regards to events and anything recreational, anything with festivals. There's plenty of, just about every single town and village around Rochester has its own festival or some sort of event outing that everybody can go to for families, whether that's on holidays or just on any given Tuesday. There's all sorts of different things that you can do with the family. And not only that, I've said it on many of my videos before, but just like Buffalo is the city of friendly neighbors, Rochester is City of Friendly Neighbors 2.0. I truly believe that. We're festival city, and a lot of those festivals have to do with bringing your family out. A lot of kid-friendly things. And so, not to mention, the Strong Museum of Play, the Science Center, all sorts of these like learning opportunities that you can go do with your family that are fun, but still educational and productive in nature. As well as, Cummings Nature Center, kind of the same thing. It's a nature center. You go out and you learn about animals, and you go walk the trails and all sorts of stuff. So it's really cool, really fun stuff. You can get your family out and do really exciting things with them. So you're never going to get bored. You're never going to run out of things to do. And you're certainly not going to hate bringing your family here. I would say just stay out of certain areas, and you can do the research. You can reach out to me. I'll show you some crime maps and things like that. But, despite what you're seeing on the headlines, it's really not that bad. And despite what you're seeing in the comment sections, it's not that bad. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Until the next video, guys, bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.